I want to break it down in the way that's the least amount of damage, and not getting hit at all is the least amount of damage. So let's start there. The first thing we're going to talk about is the slip. When we are slipping, I'm literally not moving my head. Check this out. This is head movement. It's like a baby with a soft neck. You know, you got to support the head. That's not what we're talking about with head movement. I'm not going to move my head at all, and I'm literally going to turn my body and squat at the same time. So watch this. I'm turning my body, I'm squatting. So if this is the center line, I have to get off the center line. If we're to draw a line straight down my head to the floor, I'm now out of the way. You know, in boxing, we can like turn our foot a little bit more and slip out of the way. Notice how I'm still underneath with my hips. I still have good control. I have still good balance. I'm not here. This is what I see most often, especially with beginner people. They like get out of the way too much. Oh no, this really bothers me. I don't want to see you guys making the same mistake. Please keep your hips underneath you. I know a lot of people say in Muay Thai, oh, you shouldn't slip as much. And I agree to a certain point, especially depending on the range. So if we're in range to get kicked, the slip is going to be a little bit more dangerous. So Brian's really good at kicking. Let's say he is using his jab to set me up by throwing the jab out there, and he switch kicks at the same, you know, basically right after. Switch kick, bang, again. You see how he could set me up to land into this? I just need to be close enough to where he can't really kick. You see, his kick is not there anymore. And notice how I don't make him miss by a mile. If we're to be here, so just be right here, right in front of me. Look where my head is going. I want to hear that. I want to hear that jab graze the back of my ear sometimes. It's kind of a beautiful feeling. The reason we want to make them miss by an inch rather than a mile, so this effectively makes him miss. But now I'm not in position to take advantage of the miss. Remember, our defense is solely designed so that we can follow up and attack immediately after. Defense for the sake of defense doesn't score any points, ladies and gentlemen. So we have to make sure that we follow up with our offense and be in position to be able to follow up with our offense. And it's just smooth, man. If you make somebody miss barely, there's a psychological aspect to it as well. It just shows the amount of skill you have, and it shows the amount of composure that you have to make that slight adjustment. So let's go to the left and right. I'm slipping right out of the way. Boom, boom, again. Boom, boom. In this version, I'm like sitting, turning, sitting. Notice this, I'm gonna do it right in front of you. Turning and squatting. Your hand positioning can't be as high because that's kind of where the gloves have to go. You know, you can do that, but you notice how there's like friction. It's ideal to be able to at least protect your chin, and even my posture to be able to be nice and tucked here. That's gonna be strong. Even if I do get hit, it's the forehead. The forehead is not as bad as the chin. You know, this is the art of not getting hit, but we always have to prepare for the worst case scenario. We can also pull. So the pull is applied to a lot of different punches, but especially the jab. Let's go with the jab pull. Notice when I pull, I take my right foot, I bring it back before I actually pull my body. There's another position that I'm also in too. My hips are squared up with you. As opposed to here, my hips are more square. I'm almost in a running stance, like I'm ready to take off. I'm like, hey, ready, set, go. I'm here, I'm baiting. Notice my body position is like baiting, like, hey, come get it, come get it. When he throws it, notice I didn't just use this, go ahead. If I was a clock, my head positioning is at 11. Instead of going from 11 to 1, I would like to go from 11 to 12. Notice how my hips aren't bending behind my back. My head's not going beyond my back. This is very important because if you get hit from that position, it can be very, dangerous for you because you're not in balance. And the less balance you have, the more likely you're going to be hurt. So one more time. This is part of the evasion. This is not a training on counters, but obviously you can tell that there are counters off of this pull. You know, I can throw across, immediately back, and that also helps me when I move this foot back. It's basically like a springboard effect straight to counter with my right hand. But this is not a counter thing that we're covering. We want to give you a bunch of different options. There is so much importance to varying up your defense. If my defense is the same all the time, it's easy for him as a smart, educated fighter with IQ to take advantage of that. Oh, he always does this. He always slips. He always pulls. He always parries. This is no good. You don't want people to get the drop on you. So you have to mix these up. It's just like, imagine if I just threw a 1, 2, 3 low kick at you the entire time with no variance at the same exact speed. If you lost to me, it's your fault. That's not my fault. You're a low-level fighter. We have to compare ourselves, and we have to aspire to have excellent standards, high standards, and basically be inspired and copy the elite. We can't be preparing for the pawns. We have to be preparing for the queen. If this is a chess analogy, because the queen is the most powerful piece. The next thing we're going to talk about, we covered two pieces of evasion. We have the slips. Boom, and just throw your jab, Slip, slip, go again? Yes, I can slip inside. A common thing you'll see is when people slip inside, they're going for the body shots, right? Especially when we're in this stance, orthodox versus orthodox. But you can slip to either side. There's just advantages to slipping to the outside. If I slip to the outside, it's a little bit safer than if I slip it to the inside, because now if he's throwing a good 1-2, I'm getting caught probably with the 2 sometimes. You just have to be aware of your opponent's behaviors and patterns, but this is an option. Don't think it's not an option. Slipping inside, slipping outside, pulling. So pulling, slipping inside. Notice how I'm not bending over when I'm slipping, please. Strong, 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 okay? That makes sense? Next thing we're gonna cover. So we're slipping, we're pulling, sometimes just duck. If they're aiming, especially at a certain level, if they're aiming right for my nose or my forehead area, if I just duck, not duck like this, I'm not bending over at the hips, lowering my level, sometimes that works. If you duck enough, without lowering your level too much to put yourself at risk for potential knees, sometimes that works. The reason I'm just giving you all these options is because the more you mix these options up, the better off you'll be, and it's so much more difficult to deal with somebody if you don't know what the next move is. Therefore, you can't anticipate and set up your counters. The hesitation creates a person who is more in their conscious thought rather than their subconscious thought. They can't just flow. You've taken them out of the state of flow, and they're starting to have to analyze a little bit too much. The paralysis by analysis kind of idea. So we've got the slips, we've got the pull, we've got the duck. So these are the evasion tactics. Very simple. And then I could literally just step back before as he jabs. You notice I step back as he jabs? This is a very safe one too. It's applicable to a bunch of different punches as well. But this is very safe. Step back. I can explosively step back as well. Notice how I bring both feet with me. It's very important that you don't do this, because I'm effectively not moving my back leg anywhere. I barely went anywhere, and I'm also in a dangerous position after. Very simple with the evasion tactics. All of this is just to be drilled. Drill this individually. Don't do all these techniques at once. I would just drill slipping, 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 pulling. Ducking, ducking, aim right here. You see? So my opponent or my partner, sometimes because he likes me, he's my friend, he's trying to save my head. But that's not good for me. He has to aim right in the middle of my eyes. So it gives me more of a realistic feel. And I'm glad that happened, because it does happen quite often in class. Sometimes we're just trying to help our friend out. And we'll even, I don't want to go into the roles yet, but we'll do this sometimes and kind of go a little over their head. Those are the basic ways on how to deal with the jab as far as just evasion. This is the number one way that I would say dealing with the jab, because you take 0 damage. This is how you look slick. These are literally the building blocks of a slick type of fighter. It seems as though they're the ghost. When you're acting as the ghost and not the brick wall, these are the types of tactics that you're gonna use. So this covers the portion of the evasion part of defending against the jab. And I hope you guys really come away with understanding how to be slick without doing too much. It shouldn't be too much effort. Make sure you drill this. Take a 3-minute round, drill the hell out of this, and you're gonna notice a big difference in defending against the jab.